Well, just linked to that, we want to get into a conversation about aviation as a career, and we are speaking to an entrepreneur, and that is Lucy Karanja, the Managing Director for Capital Connect Aviation School. Many thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
And just listening off from the Wings to Fly, hundreds of students will be getting an opportunity to go study various courses. But if you look at the number of people going into aviation, it hasn't been that high. Why is the case so?
I think aviation needs to be demystified. Over at our company, Capital Connect Aviation, we take the initiative to actually ask, or rather go and mentor students in high school level and even younger students, so that they can at least know what it entails. So you find a lot of people genuinely don't know how to get into aviation. They don't know the Kenyan schools that are offering those that course, and they also don't know the cost. Everybody assumes it's going to be very expensive or very cutthroat, so we need to demystify the course in itself.
All right.
Yeah.
And talk to us about how you started off. You used to be in the poultry business and you transitioned into training pilots.
Yes. Well, I was in, I finished college and I really wanted to do something. And I got into business. I'm from a farming family, so I thought, why not? Let me utilize the land, and I started with the chicken business. It was doing pretty okay, but then, you sort of need to challenge yourself once you've dominated something. So I met my husband, who's a pilot himself, and he advised me to enroll in one of the schools in Kenya at the Wilson Airport, and that's how I got into it. I saw a need for something different, something more nurturing in the course. So we prayed and we put ourselves together, and we came up with Capital Connect Aviation.
And how hard or how easy is it to start an aviation school, bearing in mind few people understand that niche career?
Okay. Starting an aviation school can be, I think the first step is knowing what you need to do, the information. So if you're looking at getting into anything aviation, do your due diligence, go over to the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority at Jomo Kenyatta Airport, and you'll literally be given all the guidelines. They are one of the better run parastatals, I can say, and they're here to facilitate. So from there, they'll set you off on your course, obviously tailor-making what it is that you need to do, as well as making sure that you follow regulations. So start with that. And then from there, it just depends on the scope of how big you want to go, how small you want to be. And then you work on your costing.
All right.
Yeah.
Talk to us how the market has been on your end in terms of getting people to train, and just give us a picture of how business has been.
I think everybody felt some sort of, impact, negative impact last year. There wasn't too much money circulating, but we kept on. I think for us, business-wise, it wasn't the best performing year, 2017, especially towards the middle end. But, we trotted on. At Capital Connect, we take time to also make sure that we market ourselves, whether it's doing interviews such as this and doing interviews as well online. It has helped us quite a bit. But yeah, it's been not too easy. We also have factors that are not too great of an impact, like the fuel prices going up for aviation gas. That's something we really need the government to sort of cap and make sure that it's friendly, so that we can teach this youth. It becomes more of a distant dream when you really can't afford it.
All right.
Yeah.
And let's look at aviation as a career, really. How lucrative is it, and what are the costs of entry?
Okay. So aviation, first of all, you need to understand what it is that you need to do. When you get into aviation, the first license you'll ever get is called a student pilot license. And what that enables you to do is to train up to your first official license, which is called a private pilot license, or PPL for short. So you'll need to do 40 hours minimum of actual practical flight time. And then you'll need to also do theory work, class work, because we always say you have to be the best in class to be the best pilot up in the air. So at Capital Connect, we offer those services. Then right after that, then you can graduate to your commercial pilot license. Once you've attained the private pilot license, you'll need an additional 160 hours to do that. And then you still also need to do some ground school at that level. So from there, you're looking at, I can speak on my company, you're looking at doing a registration fee of 3,000. You're registered. Then ground school, you're looking at a one-off payment of about 50,000. We charge 16,000 shillings per hour for practical flying. But right now we have a good January offer where we're putting it at 14,500 for every 20 hours paid in blocks.
All right.
So you're looking at, saving quite a bit. Yes.
And talking about the costs of flying, many parents opt to take their children to other countries, South Africa, and even in Europe.
Yeah.
And what does this do to local companies that are trying to also train people locally?
I think it's not even for us. What it doesn't give us the confidence for having parents sending our children so far away. Most parents are actually under the notion that they'll be saving money, but then they're actually quite misinformed because one, you're looking at people spending a lot more money there in terms of ferry costs, taking your child there, the visa costs, accommodation is expensive, food is expensive, the rate of exchange is expensive in terms of currency. Then once they finish, they come back to Kenya, and you have to have something called a Kenyan license, which you have to now do conversion exams. You also have to fly now in our airspace. So at the end of it all, it becomes quite a quagmire because you still have to fly here. And what you find a difference with the students that have trained abroad and the students that have trained in Kenya. And the upper hand of doing it in Kenya is, one, you know the terrain. Two, you know actual Kenya region quite well. And three, you have networked. So you've met the people who you need to know once you finish your studies.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you are to encourage people to take up studies locally, on average, how much can it cost to train a pilot to PPL level?
Okay, what we always tell our parents, everybody wants to know how much is it, how can I do it? We tell people, you're looking at block payments. So at Capital Connect, what we do, we make sure that our payments are very flexible to the student. You're looking at about 740,000, but that can be broken up into very flexible installments, keeping in mind to not make the student not progress at the right pace. So it's a balance, it's a give or take. If you can't pay everything, come with what you have. Let's see what we can do for you. We don't shut our doors to anyone. Yes.
And what's the level of, what's the number of pilots Kenya has? Because last I was having a conversation with the Director General for the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and he did mention that Kenya has a huge shortage of pilots.
Yes. Well, pilots, it's quite... You can't really say how many we have because you're looking at different levels of licensing.
Oh, yes.
So, for example, you may have, off the top, I'm just spitballing here, for example, you may have 5,000 registered student pilot licenses. Some of these student pilot licenses never went on to graduate to become private pilot licenses. So it's a very relative number. You can't really say we have 10,000 pilots or we have 5,000 pilots, because from entry level all the way to the end, the number actually goes and becomes quite small.
All right.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, looking at the broader picture, right now, students are yet to make decisions on which courses to do, and KCC results were released just the other week or so.
Yeah.
Perhaps, what's your message to people who are either contemplating of taking up piloting as a career, and also what's your message to people who always assume that piloting is so expensive and you have to be good in geography.
Okay, we appreciate you to be good in geography. And we do know that flying can be quite expensive. We can't tell you that it's not. But if you're looking at aviation and you know that your costs are not, well, rather your money is not going to meet the costs, you have so many other courses that are aviation-based and can be taught even at our company, Capital Connect. You have your flying courses, you have something called dispatch, flight dispatch, which is quite good. You also have cabin crew as well. We have different little courses in terms of professional courses, quality management, safety management systems. So it's quite vast. It's not just flying. But I can say to people, come over to Wilson Airport, give us a call, contact us on our Facebook page or on our website, and we will give you the information and direction you need, and for free.
All right.
So, you know, it's not impossible.
Do you offer sponsorships?
We don't currently, we don't, but it's in the pipeline. We would like also the government, if they want to, you know, they want to sponsor, counties want to sponsor pilots, why not? We're ready to do that and partner with them. So, yeah, it's not impossible.
All right.
Yeah.
And one question as we close finally, what does it take for a pilot's license to be revoked?
To be revoked. The regulations actually stipulate a lot. You cannot do things that is not within your limits. So for example, each license will tell you at this level, you can only fly a certain type of aircraft. I'm just giving you an example. And then you decide to fly it. Or at this level, you cannot, you know, carry people or carry certain weights, then you do that. So that one can actually get the KCAA involved into taking, you know, your license away, or if you're flying under intoxication and you're known, that could take it away. But there are many reasons why it could go.
All right.
Yeah.
Many thanks, Lucy Karanja, for speaking to us.
You're okay. Thank you for having us.
We look forward to having more pilots. One of them being pilot Okedi, who is telling me that we've come to an end with our time here on Business Today. And many thanks for your company. Let's do this tomorrow, same time, same place. My name is Abiagina. Coming up next,